KwaZulu-Natal contributes about 25% of matriculants nationally. This year, a total of 190,452 candidates sat for the examinations. Just over 170,000 were full-time learners, whilst over 18,000 were part-time. The Education Department in the province says there were no incidents reported since the start of the examinations last month.
There was no incident that have been reported in terms of cheating, in terms of a leak of paper. That means when we presented the state of readiness for matric exams and also internal exams were really watertight, because we're working with everyone to ensure that we protect our integrity as the province of KwaZulu-Natal.
Authorities in the province have warned learners to refrain from organizing and attending unsupervised parties. This is where matric learners will gather to celebrate the end of the school year. In December last year, at least 3 learners from Nyananda Secondary School died in a car crash after they reportedly returned from a pants-down party.
We've been busy with the policing of the exams that were taking place and looking after the celebration of the school children, as they were, some of them doing matric dances and the likes. There is so-called pants-down parties that are taking place, so we're going to pay much attention on that.
The Provincial Education Department says it wants to increase its matric pass rate from 86% it obtained last year to a minimum of 90% for the class of 2024. Simpiwe Makanya, SABC News, Durban.
Right, let's expand the conversation and bring in Basic Education Department spokesperson Elijah Mhlanga, who joins us for a conversation on the last day of the 2024 National Senior Certificate Examinations. Elijah, very good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Of course, the hopes and the level of optimism around the expectations for the matric class of 2024. You've set a target. Talk to us about what you're hoping the matric of 2024 will achieve.
Good evening, Paul. Well, from the side of the Department of Basic Education, the target is not to drop. We don't normally set a target in a percentage format, but we work towards improving upon the results of the previous class. So we trust that the class of 2024, since they concluded their exams today, are going to perform much better, because we know where they were when they were in grade 8. That was the height of COVID. In fact, that's when it was starting. So their learning was disrupted. As a result of that, they had to go through a whole range of support measures that we put in place for them. And we have supported them throughout, and we believe that whatever strategies were put in place to help them would have assisted them in this examination. So we are hoping for an increase in the pass rate of 2024 from that of 2023.
Despite several notable irregularities, I mean, we heard Minister Siviwe Gwagube describing this examination period as largely smooth. We know that among the irregularities in the third week of exams, for instance, in the Western Cape, the Education Department there reported 9 cases of pupils attempting to cheat, and they were caught with cheating material during the exam. There's been an emphasis that students found guilty of examination irregularities will face serious consequences. Where have some of these consequences been implemented?
Yeah, in fact, the cases of crib notes and cell phones being smuggled into the exam center is something that has been happening almost every day, except for a few days or so. But it's been a challenge, because we have been picking up these incidents in almost all provinces, with learners attempting to cheat in the exam. But it will be one learner who feels unprepared for the exam or for that paper, who will then try to bring into the exam room a cell phone or crib notes written on the back of a calculator or a ruler or some other thing like that. But we always find them. The fact that we're talking about them means that the system has been able to pick them up, because we search them at the door. We use metal detectors as well, just to ensure that they do not bring anything. But sometimes even with those measures in place, they still attempt to cheat, but we get them. So the consequences can be dire. You could have the results of that particular paper nullified. And if those are nullified, it means you are not going to get your complete results. If your results are not complete, it means you will not be able to apply at the institution of higher learning, or you will not be able to proceed with your plans. So please refrain from doing that. We try to prevent this by getting them to sign the pledge in which they commit to not cheating in the examinations. But even with that, they still try to undermine the system. So it's not good, because we are now going to have to conduct investigations, call them in for hearings, and if they're found guilty, then the result of that particular paper will be nullified, which means you will have to rewrite at some other time, meaning that your life could pause while we deal with the matter.
Are there tiers to the consequences? Because, I've heard reports that it could be a 3-year ban of some sort should the, transgression be serious.
Yeah, that can happen as well. And those are for serious offenses like group copying, where you work in a group and we find that you benefited from those illegal activities. We call you in for a hearing as well. You present your case, we present ours. And if you're found guilty, then the maximum punishment is a barring of 3 exams. So it's not really 3 years, but it's 3 exams, which means the next one in May and June, you will not be able to write. And the next one in October of next year, you won't be able to write. And the next one that you will be able to write is the other one. So it doesn't matter really if you are barred from writing an exam because your results have been nullified. It means that you are in big trouble and your life is going to stop. I mean, you won't be able to proceed with your higher education studies. Instead, you might need to find a job to spend the time that you are not allowed to write an examination, because wherever you might need to go, and a matric certificate will be required, and you can't produce one that complies with the requirements for entry wherever you want to go. So it's an unfortunate situation for one to be involved in, but it's avoidable. So the message is that whether you're in grade 12, 11, 10, or any other grade in the system, please refrain from cheating, because it's not going to assist you.
The information regular has said that it's illegal to publish matric results in newspapers, arguing that prior consent from pupils is required. There are calls, of course, for the department to make some sort of considerations on the issue, issuing a consent form to parents or even guardians as an additional layer of legal compliance. What is the department's education's position on this?
Let me start by saying that the Department of Basic Education actually has no business publishing results in newspapers. We have been doing this because of the relationship that has been there for decades with the media industry, who had requested to publish the results on their platforms. And we had been doing that for years as part of cooperation between the two. But our obligation is that of providing the results to the individual candidate who would have written the exam. And we do so by asking them to collect their statement of results at the center where they wrote their examinations. So that's what we do. But we also make the results available via our website, where they will enter their exam number and be able to retrieve their results. We, however, have noted the communication from the information regulator. We are processing that internally as a department. We have been given a time frame within which we need to have gone back with a response to the information regulator. That is what we are currently working on. At the right time, when a decision has been made, we are going to make that public.
Very well. Thank you so much for speaking to us this evening. Let's leave the conversation there. Basic Education Department spokesperson Elijah Mhlanga there talking to us about the last day of the 2024 matric exams.